What if your Apple devices suddenly act beyond your control? Unapproved apps running on corporate devices, cameras activating in restricted zones, and confidential files spilling out without warning. Without proper management, these vulnerabilities can expose sensitive data, disrupt operations, and threaten your organization's security. Device Feature Control in SOTI MobiControl lets administrators decide exactly what Apple devices can and cannot do without getting in the way of everyday work. We will walk through how to configure feature control for Apple devices in SOTI MobiControl. To begin, navigate to the main menu, select Profiles, and add a new profile. Select your device type and family, then choose Reactive Profile. Give your profile a clear, descriptive name and add a description if needed. Next, go to Configurations and click the plus icon to add a new configuration. Under Security and Restrictions, select Feature Control. This is where you control what Apple devices can and cannot do. Device Feature Control is organized into three main areas: device functionality, applications, and media content. We'll start with device functionality, which controls core system-level behavior and helps align devices with organization policies. To see how these controls are applied in practice, imagine configuring Apple devices deployed to employees working on a manufacturing production floor where intellectual property and operational processes must remain protected. In this environment, device functionality lets administrators enable or disable settings related to accessibility features, Apple Intelligence, Apple Watch, and Classroom, ensuring workers only have access to capabilities required for their role on the production floor. Beyond controlling features, you can also manage how data and system settings are handled. With data sharing, you can prevent production data or internal documentation from being shared with unmanaged apps while still allowing approved data flow between managed applications. To further protect device integrity, Device Setup lets you block changes to authentication or diagnostic settings that could weaken compliance or disrupt device stability in operational environments. You can further refine controls across areas like iCloud, lock screen, network, and cellular. This allows you to restrict Bluetooth and Wi-Fi access to prevent unauthorized peripherals from connecting to devices used near production equipment, and to enforce password policies that protect access to operational systems. Under Security and Privacy, you can disable sensitive actions such as erasing content in settings, reducing the risk of intentional or accidental data loss on factory-issued devices. Finally, behavioral and wireless controls help maintain standards for the production floor. The next section is Applications, where you manage how apps function on the device. In a manufacturing environment, application-level controls are critical to protecting sensitive designs and operational data. You can restrict features such as the camera or FaceTime, reducing the risk of sensitive information being photographed or shared outside the organization. In the App Usage section, you can also disable non-essential features like Game Center, ensuring devices remain focused on productivity in operational environments. Within App Security and Privacy, you can prevent the installation of unmanaged apps or disable the App Store entirely. You can further limit data exposure by controlling whether files can access USB drives or network drives, adding an additional layer of protection for organizational data. You can also add apps allowed in single app mode individually or as a list. The final section is Media and Content category, where you can control what types of content are allowed on the device. These controls help to ensure devices are used strictly for work-related purposes and remain aligned with company-approved usage standards. Here, you can manage access to content such as movies, TV shows, music, podcasts, and apps, preventing distractions and reducing the risk of inappropriate or non-compliant usage on factory-issued devices. For example, under Movies, you can allow all content or apply restrictions based on content ratings. You can also control the number of apps allowed on the device, which will ensure devices remain focused on operational tasks. Once your configuration is complete, save the profile and assign it to your devices or device groups. Device Feature Control lets you apply the right level of control for each scenario, enhancing usability and productivity. Now let's see this in action. We have disabled the device camera in our configuration, and assign that configuration to the device. When we try to open the camera app, you can see that access is blocked. This confirms that the configuration is successfully preventing camera usage on the Apple device. With feature control and SOTI MobiControl, administrators gain precise control to reduce risk, enforce compliance, and ensure Apple devices work exactly as intended, wherever they're deployed. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to learn more about the SOTI One platform.